Good morning. The gathering music was Choose Love, written and performed by Eve Goldberg, our guest musician today. I'll tell you more about Eve later, but first it's time for our morning announcements with our summer slide of our building up in front of you. Suzanne and Jane Lewis are hosting a Circle Song event here tomorrow night, May 22nd. Everyone is welcome from 7 until 9 p.m. The Neighborhood Art Gallery is up and around you. It's behind me. You can see Retrace by Jungle Lynn and Ripples by Cameron Brook, and they're upstairs on the gallery. So after the service, perhaps walk around and take a look at them. The DMC Speakers Series, How Can We Pay for a More Just and Sustainable Society? There's a discussion on tax fairness on May 30th, 7 p.m. on Zoom. Details will be sent out on tomorrow's announcements. Talent Night, June the 3rd from 7:30 until 9-ish is hosted by MC Allison. All ages and performances and performers are welcome. There's a Labyrinth Walk hosted by Doug Crozier happening this week on Thursday, May 25th at 7:30. So please join Doug and other fellow congregants on the first of the monthly Labyrinth Walks. That's at Fairmount Park, 1757 Gerrard Street East, corner of Renson Road and Benson Avenue. Rain or shine, so wear an umbrella, wear a mask, whatever your discretion advises, everyone is welcome. Neighborhood is looking for peace ambassadors. The Healthy Congregations Committee is seeking members to act as peace ambassadors within the congregation. Peace ambassadors are committed to creating a safer, more inclusive environment for the entire community. There'll be information sessions in the coming weeks. Training and support will be offered. If you're interested and want more information, please contact a member of the Healthy Congregations Committee. That's Bruce, David Zellikar, Kim Knutson. After our May 28th, that's next Sunday's service on reconciliation, there'll be a special healing ritual held at Withrow Park following the service. Jewish folk dancing, which is not just the DJC thing, but is the entire DMC, the Danforth Multi-Faith Commons. No dance experience is necessary. You can expand your dance repertoire, meet new people, and enjoy one of the fun facets of Jewish culture. It's a monthly event in Rafos Hall that's here from 3:30 until 5 p.m. So Sunday, May 28th and Sunday, June 25th. An interfaith Pride Fair is taking place on Saturday, June 17th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Allen Gardens. There'll be 18 other faith groups together with us, including our Danforth Multi-Faith Commons partners, East End United and Danforth Jewish Circle. Setup begins at noon. We're looking for members who are able to attend and represent neighborhood. If you're interested, please contact Allison at president@nuuc.ca or in person here by May 29th. Coming together in community this summer, we'll be hosting various events as well as our 2 regular Sunday services at the end of July on the 30th and in August on the 27th. Watch your email for a complete list of events that are happening this summer. There'll be Labyrinth Walks, which you heard about, circle song gatherings, games nights, drum circles, dance parties, pizza, movie nights, June talent nights, and a congregational picnic. There'll also be a volunteer appreciation, potluck, and dance on Saturday, June 17th. Who makes these slides? Flower communion ritual on July the 4th. Remember to bring in a flower, bring in a poem about flowers, or bring in a story about flowers. This week's question to the community: how have you been able to restore a damaged relationship? And we'll come back both to people here and people on Zoom later on to hear some of the answers. Next Sunday, May 28th, we're looking at reconciliation at Neighborhood. The speaker will be Dr. Larry Nussbaum. The service weaver will be Gordon Thorne, and music by our own Spirit Choir. So, welcome to Sunday service here at the Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Peter Marmrek. I have the pleasure of being your service weaver today. Let's start by opening to Spirit in whatever form you might conceive of that being. So take a deep breath and let all the minutiae that we normally think of float away, and then let it out. And now that we're present in spirit, we'll start today's service by creating sacred space. I invite you all to join me in reading the invocation. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here.
Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families.
And now to light the chalice, I invite Gordon Thorne up.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
Our prelude today will be by Eve Goldberg, who's our guest musician. Eve is a compelling writer and interpreter of folk, blues, country, swing, bluegrass, and gospel on both guitar and ukulele. A favorite at venues across Turtle Island, she's released 3 acclaimed albums and is part of the folk roots duo Gathering Sparks, whom we've heard here in the past. Eve also teaches music to adults and is the founder and leader of the Ukulele Orchestra of Toronto, a 25-person ukulele ensemble who you may have been lucky enough to have heard here previously. So Eve, welcome.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here. I'm going to start with this song of mine called Let Me Rise. And it has a chorus. I'm not going to teach you the words, but it's going to be up here on the screen. So I'll do the chorus twice to start things off. And thank you so much for having me here. My ukulele orchestra has just loved being in this space. And we had a wonderful concert last week here. So thanks to those who came out for that. So here we go. Let me rise in the morning, feel the joy in living. Let me open my heart like a flower unfolds. When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul? Let's do that again. Let me rise in the morning, feel the joy in living. Let me open my heart like a flower unfolds. When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul? Little flowers in the desert can't take the heat of the midday sun, but they open up their petals when the day has just begun. Let me rise in the morning, feel the joy in living. Let me open my heart like a flower unfolds. When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul? I was wandering in that desert, desperate for a sign of rain. Your heart shone out like a beacon, called my soul back home again. Let me rise in the morning, feel the joy in living. Let me open my heart like a flower unfolds. When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul? And we're just like those little flowers who put down roots in the burning sand. We've got to gather love around us, make our way in a thirsty land. Let me rise in the morning, feel the joy in living. Let me open my heart like a flower unfolds. When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul? When my burden is heavy, would you walk beside me? Would you open your heart, shine a light for my soul?
See if I can get the camera to follow me. Got to give them something tricky to work at. I start by acknowledging that the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit are First Nations who were here before me and are still here on this land, together with other First Nations, the Inuit, and the Métis Nations. This month is our month of reconciliation, and perhaps nowhere is that more needed than in the relationship between settlers and Indigenous peoples. I think it's good that we start our services with a land recognition, but just as there is much more of our service to come, there is much more work that we need to do on reconciliation. So welcome here today, everyone. Our musical director is Suzanne Mazars, who is off making music for the CUC this weekend. Zariah Getchell facilitates our children's program. We are grateful to have Bruce Line as our Zoom tech, and Reese Rogers and Gordon Thorne, back from BC, are making all the AV work correctly. Our speaker today will be a treat. It's Neighborhood's own Chris Emanuel, who will explore what spiritual reconciliation means. And Eve Goldberg, you've already had the pleasure of hearing as our guest musician. Unitarians are open to many beliefs. We are a non-creedal religion. There's no set of beliefs you have to be a Unitarian. We learn from many traditions, and we welcome everyone here who is looking for a spiritual community. If you're visiting us for the first time, a particular welcome, and we encourage you to stay around at coffee time after the service to talk to us and get a sense of who we are and what we do here. Our services vary considerably from week to week, so you may need to come to several to get a fuller sense of the range we cover. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of the world. In May, all our themes are on aspects of reconciliation. Behind me is our monthly altar, and you're encouraged to share in deepening the theme by bringing in objects that meaningfully connect you to reconciliation. We store them safely away between services, and you can take them back after the last service of the month. Think of the table as a communal installation and what you might bring in next week to add to it. Spiritual reconciliation. I spent a lot of time over the past few weeks thinking about what that might mean to a congregation such as this. It doesn't quite mean forgiveness. Forgiveness is something I can do on my own. I can forgive someone without them ever knowing about it. But reconciliation takes two sides to reconcile. And what does spiritual mean? Who are we exactly reconciling with? We, UUs, are notorious for having a wide range of views on spirit. Some of us are naive enough to believe there's a spiritual energy that exists external to us. Some of us are naive enough to believe there is no such energy. It doesn't matter what your belief is, we're still all sharing that naivety because none of us really know our human place as regards the transcendent is naivety. We don't know for sure. So for some of us, spiritual reconciliation may be reconciling to the great mystery, in whatever form we visualize that power. For others, it may be reconciling the space between what we believe we are and what we think we should be. In Jungian terms, that means accepting our own shadow. So even if the transcendent isn't something that you personally believe in, you can still spiritually reconcile by accepting those aspects of yourself that you don't want to be there. That's important work. If we don't do it, those aspects of ourselves get projected outward onto others. As Jung said, if the individual only learns to deal with their own shadow, they have done something real for the world. They have succeeded in shouldering at least an infinitesimal part of the gigantic, unsolved social problems of our day. And we see what happens in the world when people don't acknowledge their own shadow and project it out onto others, when we get the kind of vitriol and hatred that has seemed to be more noticeable the past few years with people projecting evil onto others. But now it's time to greet your neighbors. So we'll have a few moments to greet one another. And after you've done that, turn to the camera on the back wall and greet those joining us virtually.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Sigrid.
Nice to see you, John.
Yeah, I'm
Hi.
actually outside Fallon Falls right now.
No,
Good
really?
morning.
Yeah, are you in Fallon Falls?
Hello,
No,
Marcia.
not till June 19th or something. Is your
Okay.
cottage nearby, right?
Yeah, my wife's cottage is outside Fallon, and my cottage is 45 minutes away.
Hello,
Okay,
Dee Dee.
Well, we can maybe connect in the summer.
Sure.
Hi,
Okay.
Julie.
Sounds good.
Hi, Dee
Hey, all.
Dee. Hi. Yes, hi all. That's easier. Hi, Bruce.
Good
And thanks
morning.
for the tech support.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh,
Hey, can I ask, who's Zoom user there?
What do you mean?
There's
Who's
somebody,
there?
one of our
Yeah.
participants is Zoom user.
Zoom.
Is that Gordon?
Who is Zoom?
Are you?
That would be Gord, I think.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Hello,
don't
Zoom
see it.
user.
Hi, Zoom.
I don't. Hi, Zoomer. I don't see that either. So let's say it's Gordon. Just kidding. So I'm going to move my head. This is
We're gonna,
from this morning's
sing a
walk.
song to open
Oh, I
by,
think we're-
with That
Oh,
was
I
written
see,
by
Sue
Pat
Muser.
Humphreys, who's part of the duo Emma's Revolution that some of you may be familiar with. And this is a beautiful song that has a wonderful chorus that we can sing together. It says, "We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side." And it sounds like this. Should everybody stand? Please. It helps you sing, right? So here's what the chorus sounds like. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Let's do that again. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, finding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm impatient to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. We young spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. When we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginnings, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live together. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Nicely
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to invite all of the young and young at heart down to the front because it's time for our Time for All Ages. Before we get started, I just want to take a quick moment to thank Chris Emanuel for coming today to talk about spiritual reconciliation. I also want to thank Eve Goldberg for coming to join us to do our music this morning. Thanks to you both. So today, I want to talk to you about what I think is one of the more important parts of reconciliation, accountability. Do you know what accountability means? No. Well, I looked it up, as I tend to do, and I didn't find the definitions very helpful. The simplest definition was being accountable, which was not very useful to me. But I came across this video that explained accountability in action. It explained it in 3 steps that we can take to show and to have accountability. The first step is to own your part. So here's a little scenario. Let's say that I'm playing with something and someone comes by and snatches it from me. And in response, I hit them and take it back. When it comes time to talk about it, which it inevitably will, I could say, well, they took my toy, so I hit them. That's not accountability. That's blaming the other person for your actions. Both people made choices in this scenario. It's one person's job to say, I took your toy, and that wasn't okay. And it's my job to say, I hit you, and that wasn't okay. Both people need to be responsible for their own actions. Step 2 is cause and effect. The second step is to realize, to really understand that every action, everything we do has a reaction. Every time a person does something, something happens. If you jump in a puddle of mud, you're going to have a lot of fun, and you also might get your clothes really muddy. If you don't study for a test, you might get a bad grade. There can be good reactions too. Maybe your classroom helps clean up. Maybe your class really helps to clean up the classroom, and as a thank you, your teacher gives you some extra time at recess. That's a good reaction. Me hitting someone because they took my toy, not so good a reaction. Knowing that there are these positive and negative reactions to everything we do, to all the choices that we make, when we know that, we can work to make choices that have positive reactions instead of negative ones. And step 3 is to solve the problem. Let's say that for whatever reason you didn't hand in a project for school. Now you could say that, and your reason was that you didn't know what you were doing, the teacher never explained it to you properly. That's certainly something that I've said in the past. That's not owning your part, it's an excuse. You had a problem with the project, you didn't know what to do with it. You could have done something about it maybe. Could you have maybe gone to your teacher and asked them to explain to you a little more about what the project means and how to do it? That would be something you could do to solve the problem before it becomes a bigger problem. So that's going to be our Time for All Ages today, these 3 steps that we can take to have accountability. And going forward, when hard life things happen, which they always do, I hope you remember to be accountable to yourself and to other people. I hope that you own your part in things, that you know that your choices have reactions, both positive and negative, and that we work to solve our problems before they become big problems. If we do, we'll have a little bonus of showing accountability and really being able to move forward with people and move to a point of reconciliation and forgiveness. Now, shall we go into the back room and have our program? Yes, I think so.
1, 2, 3. Children grow in spirit. Children grow in spirit. Grow in spirit, children. Grow in spirit, children. Grow in spirit, grow in spirit, grow in spirit, children.
This is the time when we're going to take up the question to the community that we had earlier. The question was, how have you been able to restore a damaged relationship? And I'll take maybe 3 answers from this group and then see if there are any people on Zoom who'd like to share. So how have you been able to restore a damaged relationship? Does anyone have any ideas?
When I was became an adult, so an older teenager, I had strained relations with some of my family members because many were much older than me, my siblings, and my father had, my parents had divorced when I was 10, and I didn't have him in my life for a few years. Anyway, at a certain point, I just decided that I really just wanted to have good relationships with everyone in my family, and made a conscious decision to try to set aside old grievances and start anew and have them in my life now and get to know them better now.
Thank you, Allison.
So similar to Allison, I've got two sisters, and they're at the other side of me, both very different, and there's several things we can't talk about. So we've just decided we're just not going to go in particular areas that fire us up.
Thank you.
In 2019, when we were apartment hunting, we were actually apartment hunting for 2 apartments because we almost split, me and Zariah. And I had to do a lot of work to fix that. And it came down to changing a lot of the ways I communicate. It came down to a lot of just open, honest conversations, personal accountability, and oh shoot, my brain is blanking on the last. Oh yes, that internal shadow work, and spend a lot of time looking at myself and the way I was behaving and projecting things. And so it was really that accountability, communication, and honesty.
Thank you so much. Now it's my pleasure to yield the podium to Chris Emanuel, who will lead us in meditation.
All right, everyone. Let's all just take a breath. That's been a very heavy sort of period. And if you're willing, just allow yourself to relax. This meditation practice is a simple practice where we connect to the undefined part of ourselves. If you're willing, close your eyes and just feel the weight of your body wherever you are. Just be there now. Be here. Allow your shoulders to relax. Feel this relaxation transfer down your arm to your hands, wherever they are, beside your body or on your lap. And bring your focus to your breath. And just feel the air entering in and out of your nostril. Allow your belly to soften and just continue breathing there. Just imagine yourself now in a beautiful place of your choice. And let's just rest there now in this beauty. Feel the essence of the place around you. You may now return to the room very slowly, keeping that feeling with you. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome. So the theme of the month is reconciliation with self, others, and life. My talk today is titled Spiritual Reconciliation. In the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of the people. This was Nelson Mandela's quote. To be honest with you, when I got asked to do this talk, I was very challenged. It was almost, I said, why is this being offered to me? I would imagine that reconciliation in Canada is more of an Indigenous plight at first. But then as I thought about the losses that I have in my life, I realized that reconciliation is a continual process that we're all doing continually in our lives. So I offer this talk to you in that spirit of a total concept of reconciliation. Spiritual reconciliation is to restore our relationship with our greater selves, to settle differences and restore harmony with self and others. To reconcile is to transform a relationship. This requires at its core truth. Establishing truth requires accountability, forgiveness, acceptance, integration, peace, and love. Accountability forms the first principle of the process of reconciliation, where we find the courage to face the truth by acknowledging what has happened. Accountability is the gateway to atonement, where we establish contribution, meaning who or what participated in creating the situation. This can be a challenging and confusing state, where we can stay stuck in chaos because often there is no one else involved, especially when it comes to age, accident, and disease. These things happen just to me. No one was there. It is a hard truth of life where we must face what happens without denial or distortion. It is through confronting the truth of what has occurred that we can begin to reconcile and integrate a new future of possibilities that can bring about relationships with self and others. Accountability, when it involves others, needs more than just an apology. It is to prepare a space to listen to the injured part, whether it's with yourself or with another. To have the strength to witness the impact of the action that caused harm. To empathize with the other. As we examine the path of contribution from all sides, we can take genuine account of where the hurt is. Maybe it is just a past wound, deeply buried, that has been exposed, that has come to surface to be healed. We can't always see when we're down in the pit of darkness and chaos with complex feelings. Can we take the time to really be real about the trigger and what it's telling us? Anger can cloud our capacity to take accountability. Deep-seated, unresolved trauma, unsolved losses, unforgiveness, suffering that has no understandable cause can leave us in a continual cycle that keep us from accountability. With accountability, there is now a possibility to create a responsible path to see the way to entertain forgiveness and restorative justice. Forgiveness can light a way to change through the process of finding a place of compassion and the ability to let go of anger, resentment, and the desire for revenge. To shift the focus from what has been done to how can I and we find a way to build a future together. Forgiveness can open a door that allow those involved to transform the past and bring reconciliation into the future. It can help to ask the following questions. Truly, who is forgiveness for when it comes to reconciliation? What if I was born that way, then what? Who am I forgiving? What if there's no one to forgive? Forgiveness alone does not relieve suffering, but can liberate us from carrying hate and resentment, especially against ourselves. Forgiveness is a spiritual reconciliation process which requires a change that no one can do except within ourselves, especially when there's no one to blame. Some time ago, before the pandemic, I shared a story with the Forgiveness Project, and I was invited to New York to meet other participants of this project. This is where I met Father Michael Lapsley. Father Michael Lapsley was exiled from South African government in 1976. He then joined the African National Congress, the ANC, and became one of their chaplains. Whilst living in Zimbabwe, he discovered he was on the South African government hit list. In April 1990, he received a letter bomb in the mail. Father Michael says, I received a letter bomb hidden inside the pages of 2 religious magazines that had been posted from South Africa. In the bomb blast, I lost both my hands, one eye, and had an eardrum shattered. For the first 3 months, I was as helpless as a newborn baby, Father Michael said. People have asked me how I survived, and my only answer is, in the presence of the bomb blast, I felt that God was present. I also received so many messages of love and support from people all around the world. I was able to make my bombing redemptive, to bring life out of death, good out of evil. Quite early on, after the bombing, I realized that if I was filled with hatred, desire for revenge, I would be a victim forever. If we have something done to us, we are victims. If we physically survive, we are survivors. Sadly, many people never travel further than that. I did travel further, going from victim to survivor to victor. To become a victor is to move from being a subject of history, actually to be an object of history, and to become a subject once more. That is not to say I will not forgive what I've lost, because I will permanently bear the marks of disfigurement. Yet I believe I've gained from this experience. I realize that I can be more of a priest with no hands than with 2 hands. I wanted to ask him about that. In 1992, I returned to South Africa, he said, to find a nation of survivors, but a damaged nation. Everyone had a story, a truth to tell. In my work, I have developed a program called The Healing of Memories, where individuals get to share their stories. It explores the effect of South Africa, of the past, the emotional, psychological, and spiritual levels. I try to support those who have suffered as they struggle to have their stories told. I haven't forgiven anyone, he says, because I have no answer, no one to forgive. No one has been charged with the crime. And so for me, forgiveness is still an abstract concept. But I knew if I knew the people who sent my bomb and now were in prison, I will happily unlock the gates, although I'd like to know that they weren't going to send any more bombs to anybody. I believe in restorative justice, he says. I believe in reparation. So my attitude to the perpetrator is this: I'll forgive them, but since I'll never get my hands back and will therefore always need someone to help me, they should pay the person's wages. Not as a condition of forgiveness, but part of reparation and restitution. So Father Michael, to me, exemplifies spiritual reconciliation through his faith. For those that don't have faith, there's got to be some way that they find that. Because without it, we cannot transcend the need for revenge and move beyond being a victim to participate in using their lives for something more. Father Michael was able to reconcile and help others now. He was able to accept his tragedy through the recognition of the spiritual part of himself, which he calls God, and the message of love and support he received. Spiritual reconciliation requires acceptance, where we take the time to accept that we do not know it all, that there is so much we do not understand, that we are restricted by our view. As Lynn Harrison said a few weeks ago right here, every point of view is one point from a view. That brings us to the powerful words of the Serenity Prayer. If you're willing, join me in this prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Acceptance plays a pivotal role in the journey of spiritual reconciliation, in that we recognize the worth and dignity of every individual, that regardless of their background, cultural beliefs, disability, or sexual diversity, they are part of the human fabric of the interconnected web, that we are truly a collective of spiritual beings having a spiritual experience. We are told by many spiritual traditions, do not do to another what we would not have done to ourselves. Yet at times we all fail to uphold this practice. Acceptance allows us to let go of judgment and to see beyond rightness to kindness. For there is always choice and the possibility of change. What we know now will not always be. There was a quote written above the window behind the podium of Neighborhood's former home at Hiawatha. It was lifted from a part of Rumi's famous poem called A Great Wagon, and it's on screen now. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoings and right doings, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, and the phrase each other doesn't make sense. Most of Rumi's poems center around urging the reader to realize the spiritual realm, where we can explore non-judgment and oneness, a place free from the shackles of name and form. Through contemplating our spiritual essence, we can open to enter this field of shared humanity and take responsibility. Then we can take action to integrate a new way of being, a life by seeking a way to restore right relationship with self and others. But how we struggle to restore relationships. We're not taught to enter a field in the spiritual realm to solve our problems. Many times, it's easier to leave a relationship than to do the work of reconciliation. Our world is divided by the struggle to unite beliefs and ideas. Spiritual reconciliation finds its root in ancient wisdom traditions, where the sages and prophets have long emphasized the power of love and forgiveness as a transformative force. From the teachings of Buddha and Jesus to the words of Rumi and Gandhi, we find a common thread that binds humanity together. That the true reconciliation begins with the self before we can restore onward, outward, to embrace the entire world. If we truly want to nurture a healthy and diverse community here at Neighborhood, we must consider spiritual reconciliation where we choose to take accountability for action that caused us to divide. And we must practice forgiveness and acceptance so we can meet each other wherever that we are, and anyone who chooses to join it. In the field of right and wrong that Rumi talks about. Through deep individual work, we can choose to take shared action, creating a safe place to share a common humanity as we forge a path of forgiveness and compassion for all. Finally, this compassion brings us to true spiritual reconciliation, which is the return to peace and love. A love that is shown in action that says, I see you. I hear you. I acknowledge your pain. I acknowledge that I have unknowingly or knowingly contributed to your suffering. I choose to hold you in high regard. I open to connect with you in mutual understanding of a shared humanity. I will take the time to listen to your point of view, even though I might not agree. I witness your soul as part of mine, even though I am afraid. Can we work together to build a common future and trust again? Can we find the courage to do this for each other? Can we be willing to foster curiosity with our open heart and a mind when our beliefs and ideas are challenged? Can we refrain from humiliating each other when we triggered and we can't agree? Can we let go of our old story and learn a new story and accept a shared story so that we can together better be able to trust and find the truth? The path to spiritual reconciliation is not an easy one. This is why it's a hard topic for all of us. It's a tough one. One, it requires bravery, and I consider you all brave for coming today, because I said when this topic comes up, I don't know who's going to show up. But I can tell you, it demands that we listen to voices of those that have been silenced, that we confront our own biases and prejudice, and that we work tirelessly to dismantle the structures of equality and oppression that still persist. This integration takes time and effort from all parties involved. But let us remember that the rewards of reconciliation is far outweighs the challenge. Because I can tell you, all the reconciliation that I've done has lightened my heart and made me a better person. In conclusion, spiritual reconciliation offers us a transformative vision of the future, one in which accountability, forgiveness, acceptance, and peace lead us towards healing the wounds of the past. Let us, as UU members and of this congregation, be bold enough to embark on this journey for the sake of our own well-being and the collective well-being of our communities and societies. Let us do this with the intention to forge a future where the generation to come can flourish. May we embrace the principles of spiritual reconciliation, and doing so, may we forge a world where compassion, understanding, unity, peace, and love prevails. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Now it's the time for our offertory. This congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. We reconcile to spirit, in part, by supporting this place that supports our spiritual growth. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. The greeters will pass the baskets for those who choose to make contributions. Greeters, please bring the baskets to me when the money is collected. We will now pause and Eve will play. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found a home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, then this offering is a token of gratitude for our common life as together we build a common good. And now, please rise for our closing hymn, Choose Love.
This is a song that I wrote called Choose Love. And it has a chorus that comes around a number of times that just says, love, 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 love. I hope you can handle that. So that there's a little phrase that changes every chorus before that, but you can just sing the love part if you want. So the chorus sounds like this. We need love. We need love. We need love, love. We need love. So that'll come around a bunch of times. You got a heart made to see you through, and the healing power can touch everything you do. Love is strong, it won't be denied. So look in your heart and see what's inside. You'll find love. You'll find love. You'll find love, love. You'll find love. We've been hurt. We've been knocked down to size, rocked to our foundation, taken by surprise. Moving on is the hardest part, trying to keep the sorrow from hardening our hearts. We got to love. We've got to love. We've got to love, love. We've got to love. Now some may say you've got to show you're strong, overpower others and prove them wrong. The muscle and might won't bridge the divide. We need some understanding to turn this tide. We need love. We need love. We need love, love. We need love. Talking about a love for mercy. Talking about a love for sweet release. Talking about a love for freedom. Talking about a love for peace. So travel along. Take the path to your heart. In the darkest hours, love will do its part. There's a fork in the road every day, and a little compassion can show the way. Choose love. Choose love. Choose love, love. Choose love. Choose love. Choose love. Choose love, love. Choose love. Choose love, love. Choose love. Thank you for singing.
And I invite Gordon up to extinguish the chalice as we sing the chalice extinguishing song.
Within
Thank you. I invite you to reach out and take your neighbor's hand or touch elbows or touch shoulders as you will. And I leave you with this blessing again from John O'Donohue. May all that is unforgiven within you be released. May your fears yield their deepest tranquilities. May all that is unlived in you blossom into a future graced with love. Our service is over. Go in peace.